Namaste. Welcome. Welcome. To this live called Calm in the Storm. What life is communicating. Okay, let's get going. Let's get going. So yeah, I just felt I've been asked questions recently, both in private messenger messages about the current situation that we're experiencing in the world. You know, should we be concerned? Should we be worried? What's this all about? And people asking for healing and so forth. And I felt that given that there seems to be an increasing amount of both fear and also self-isolation going on, either enforced or by choice, it was really worth just looking at this whole issue from a spiritual perspective, because obviously in times like these, and we could say that these are indeed unprecedented times, that you know, it's very easy to go into fear, and I'll explain why that happens in a moment. But really, you know, in times of stress, in times of challenge, these are times for connection, love, compassion, and also they're a deep invitation from life to life's deepest gift and realization. Yeah, it can very easily, we can get lost in the storm, so to speak. There's so much information coming at us from media, social media, you name it, many sources and lots of information, and probably quite a lot of that information could be contradictory as well. And so, you know, you're left there in some kind of daze, and the mind is going crazy with all of this. So let's first just look, you know, every situation, every event, everything in life is an invitation. Ultimately, every experience is an invitation back to the realization of who you really are, even the most mundane thing. And when there's something as profound as this going on in the world, then this is a really big shout from life to look more deeply at what's going on. And the reason that there's so much fear, anxiety, and stress fundamentally comes down to what those of you who've listened to many of my live streams, I refer to as a case of mistaken identity. A case of mistaken identity. And that's the belief that we are the body-mind complex. And yet, whilst it's true we have bodies, the body is something that we have, but it's not that which we are. But when we believe that, and we believe that our life is dependent on it, and particularly the identified self as the body-mind complex, the ego mind, the psychological self, whatever label you want to give that, its biggest fear is death. The death of the body-mind, the death of that identity. And that fear resides in everyone until that fear has been faced and unequivocally dissolved by the dissolution of the belief in this body-mind complex. And so the default position for the body-mind when life is threatened, and it is now there's so much information coming at us from many sources posing apparent threats, then the default setting of the ego mind is to go straight to this belief in that it is the body-mind complex and the fear that arises from the death of the body. That's how it's working. That's what's going on. And that's why we're seeing lots and lots of reactions, strange reactions around the world. People taking self-preservation measures. Now, this is not to say that one doesn't take wise steps like washing one's hands. And for instance, that's one of the best pieces of advice I've heard about this coronavirus situation or COVID-19. Obviously, one makes sensible choices, but to understand more fully what's going on and why the fear is there in the first place, you've got to look deeper. And there's within us all, there is an awareness that is untouched, unmoved, unblemished, perfect, whole, and complete, and is eternal. And it's only going to be by the realization, the experiential realization of that as to whom you really are, that's going to dissolve the suffering, the fear, and so forth. Only that. Looking for it outside is not going to work. Peace, realization is not outside of you. It is that which you already are. Already that which you are. It may not be your experience yet, though. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But the invitation from life is there. So if we just look at the current situation going on around the world, I actually read a book recently, which is fairly rare for me these days, by the way. I just felt a call whilst we went away for a week to read a book. And it's actually this book. It's about Norse mythology by a chap called Neil Gaiman. And I thought, oh, that'd be interesting. I've never really looked at that much. And it's presented, you know, in the Hollywood versions as some kind of cozy environment. But the book dispelled all the illusions around that and actually explained in simple languages and rewrote the myths, the myths were translated into English by this chap. And it became clear to me that actually the narrative in the Norse mythology wasn't as cozy as it can sometimes be presented on television. Actually, the Norse gods, the Norse myths, actually they were pretty unreliable and pretty horrible to each other, these gods. And the whole of the narrative that, you know, if you died bravely in battle, you went to Valhalla. This was the whole thing that was driving a lot of the culture back in the days that these myths emerged. And it led me to think of this phrase, cultural narrative. And this cultural narrative is very central to what conditions our lives. Every culture, whether it be local, a broader community, national or international, there's a narrative that's going on that you can get defined by. And I've just given the example of the Norse one there, very warfaring nation back in those times. But the same could be said of the British Empire, very warfaring, going around the world and claiming parts of it for itself. And if you think of that in the current context of what's going on in the world, there's a narrative coming at you from left, right, center, behind, all over. And that's the narrative behind this virus that's traveling around the world at a great pace. And that narrative is basically saying, you're going to get this and you're going to die. And inside of you, because of that identification with the body-mind complex, it's inevitably going to produce a fear reaction, whether it's mild or very strong. And we're all at choice. We're all at choice as to which we go with. Do we go with that narrative and believe that? Or are we going to go with a deeper awareness that's up within us? And that choice is actually the same for every situation in life, every situation. It doesn't have to be the coronavirus, the COVID-19. Any and every situation, there's a choice of going between the head and the heart, the stillness, the awareness, or the narrative, the belief system that's going on up here in our heads. And none of this means, as I've said already, about not taking practical measures. For instance, as far as the virus is concerned, washing your hands. That's clearly very sensible. Why would you not do that? So here we're now seeing on a global scale the spread of this, and it's producing fear reactions around the planet. I'm not saying that the measures being taken are not good ideas. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that actually the world is being shown itself, and it's being shown that the amount of fear that we have within us. It's a particularly unpleasant and challenging way to look at this. But there's a deep message and a deep invitation from life here to say, whoa, hang on a minute. Is the way that we are living, serving us both as individually, collectively, and globally? Is it serving us? Is there something more that we should be open to and looking for? And the answer is within. You don't have to believe me or anything I'm saying here. Look within the silence of your heart, and you will see here is the invitation from life to life, to look life in the face. Look at the situations, what it's presenting for you emotionally, energetically, and look that straight in the eye and witness it from the space of awareness. Because in that pure, silent witnessing, the emergence of anything that's present will dissolve in the light of awareness. I have a whole live stream. It's called Live Stream 11, Transmuting Fear into Love. Live Stream 11, Transmuting Fear into Love. That's on my YouTube channel. That's dedicated to that, and you can explore that. I've just realized I haven't put the link to it there, but I can pop it on the comments later. But it's on my YouTube channel. The recording is quite old now, and I've actually had it professionally re-recorded recently, and I'm going to be issuing that for free soon. But everything's on that older version, and this includes a guided experience. But I just want to talk a little bit about it just now, because as This is emerging and unfolding in front of us. Naturally, if we stop and take notice, like when you were a child, you were taught to stop, look, and listen when you crossed the road. And the reason for that was a very simple and practical piece of advice to make sure you cross the road safely. And so it is with every situation in life, and particularly one as challenging as this: to stop, to look, and to listen to what's going on in you. You see, everything that arises, whether it be a thought, a feeling, a sensation, an emotion, all of them emerge, and they're like waves arising out of the ocean. A thought appears. Now, if you engage with it, you will catch what I call the train of thought, and it will take you to many stations, and none of them are your truth. The same with a feeling, an emotion. It arises. One moment it wasn't there, next minute you're triggered by something, an event happens, such as the present situation in the world. And suddenly there's fear, anxiety, stress there. Before, it was not there. Now, if you go with that and identify and say, I am fearful, I am stressed, I am anxious, then that will become your experience. But if you can see that it arose in the body and simply is watched as an experience, watched as an experience, not run away from, accepted totally, completely, and just simply allowed that to be felt and witnessed, what you'll notice is as you look at that and trust in the power of your own awareness, it will dissolve naturally, it will pass. And that's because it's been looked at or seen from a deeper space. So how do we move through this? It is ultimately with the power of our own awareness. And live stream 11 covers that in great detail. I've only given you a brief summary there. Key is to notice, face, feel, witness. Notice, feel, face, witness. That's all that's ultimately required. And that simple process will move you more quickly into a space of clarity on any situation, including the rather challenging times we find ourselves in now with COVID-19 or the coronavirus. This is one huge wake-up call to us all. It's a deep invitation, certainly very challenging, and certainly many people have died. And no doubt many more will too, and that's sad, very sad. And yet there's an opportunity here, an invitation here for something deeper to be realized, and that's the power of the awareness within. That ultimately is the invitation from life to life. And you, my friends, are life, and you are life eternal. That's not just nice words coming from me. That's actually an experiential awareness a knowing that is beyond personhood. You don't have to believe me on this. It will be seen once it is realized. And if you listen in the depths of the silence of your heart, you'll notice that calling from life to life is there always. It's just a matter, excuse me, just a matter of you listening. That's all. That's all. It couldn't get much bigger than the present situation. I've been in this body for 58 years now, and I've never seen quite as much lockdown going on, restrictions of movement, so much effort going into the world protecting itself from clearly what is a very difficult situation. There's no doubting that. Yet underlying it all is a deep invitation, because when we don't listen, life has this habit of waking us up. And to be woken up this way is certainly one of the most challenging ways you could possibly conceive of. But if we're prepared to look, prepared to listen, prepared to notice, prepared to feel, prepared to face, prepared to witness, something deeper, something much more profound, something that is beyond words beautiful can be realized. Therein is the invitation from life to life, and you are that life. So how do we remain calm in the storm? We realize that the center, the I, we are that still center. It is already present within us. It is not something that is achieved or attained. The Buddha did not attain anything. All that happened was he realized what is already here, present now. That's all. The only apparent difference between a being that has realized and one that hasn't is that one believes they are the body-mind. The other knows unequivocally they are eternal awareness, infinite silence. That's the only difference. And it's just an apparent difference, because even if you believe you are the body-mind, it doesn't stop you from being life eternal. It's just a projection that's been created. And that projection creates the fear, which we're seeing magnified by the situation in the world at the moment. And I only feel huge love, compassion for this. And that's really both a combination of that with the questions I've been getting as to why I've decided to just speak a bit about it and point at something a little deeper than the next news item or the next Facebook post about it. The choice and the power is within you, and certainly do take practical and sensible steps to look after yourself as well. And the other part, excuse me, I just need a drink of water. I wanted to do, or felt called to do in the early hours of yesterday morning, I got the insight, was to offer 7 days of infinite silence meditation. The link to that is above or below or at the side, depending on what device you're watching. It's 7 days of meditation, the infinite silence meditation, which is, shall we say, the signature piece of silence that came from the realization. It's at 2000 UK time, and you can check your local time on the timeanddate.com website. Be about 45 minutes each night. I'll be taking you direct into the meditation. Do join us. It's a very, very simple and powerful and profound tool. You're most welcome to come and join. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. Thank you for those who watched, and thank you for making some comments. Join us if you can. You don't have to be there every night if your schedule doesn't allow. Just join us when you can, and do share the opportunity. And note, it's going to be on my page, so not the personal timeline, but on the page itself. Philip Wade, Infinite Silence, Self-Realization. 2000 tonight, UK time, for the next 7 nights. I do hope you can join us. Namaste. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful weekend. Look forward to meditating with you later. And just to finish off, let's just have 5 minutes of meditation now, just to close this. So I will be joining you, yes, Elizabeth, for the meditations. I will be leading the meditation. I will be using the infinite silence meditation, guiding you with whatever arises from the awareness, from the silence in that moment, every night, 8 p.m. for the next 7 nights. So let's just have a few minutes now, just to connect, just to bring ourselves to that space of awareness. Just a few minutes. So just simply close your eyes. Just simply be aware of your body. Just notice the body, whatever's here, thoughts, feelings, sensations. And be open from your heart to the experience of what I call spheres of light. It's the same as the pure, universal state I am. Pure being. Just noticing this sense, I am. It is the pure, universal state. I am. Resting all of your attention here now. And as your attention rests on this state, I am this pure being, know that it is seen or witnessed from the deeper essence that is the silent witness in infinite silence. So allow your attention to merge with this silent witness. Everything is occurring in front of this, simply being noticed without judgment. Simply observing, knowing you are the witness. And the witness itself is like a sliver of ice in an ocean that melts, dissolves. So just allow that awareness of the witness to dissolve into an ocean of silence, of stillness, melting, dissolving, becoming, realizing the ocean. Trusting becomes the knowing, the realizing that one is the ocean of stillness, of awareness. This is all that's required. This is ever present, always here, always now. All phenomena occur and are witnessed from this space. This is awareness, or infinite silence. This is the place of your power. That is eternal. It is our shared connection. We are all this. Pure, non-personal awareness, or infinite silence. Know, as this brief meditation comes to a close, this awareness is ever present. You remain as this always. Never has there been a time when you were not this awareness. You may have just simply forgotten. So I'll bring the meditation to a close now with a ring of the singing bowl. And with that, a reminder to join us 2000 hours, 8 p.m. UK time on my page, link above. 7-day infinite silence meditation program, the next 7 nights. Blessings and namaste, and do take care. With love and blessings from the silence. And I'll bring the stream to a close now. And feel free to ask any questions or share any comments. Bye now.